So what exactly are we doing?
We're doing broderie perse.
Embroidery purse.
No. Broderie, B-R-O-D-E-R-I-E. Broderie
Okay.
perse. It's a French term for embroidery, I guess. I don't know. But you cut out either flowers or birds, as here. Other critters like butterflies, and applique them onto another piece of fabric.
Okay.
And I use a needle turn applique. You cut this close, about 1/8 of an inch, and then just take and go right into the edge, to the fold, and then tack it down.
Oh.
And of course, it's not going to work right when you're doing that. And with silk thread, you have to pull on the thread, not the needle, or your thread will break. It's so thin.
So you use silk thread?
I use silk thread for all of my embroidery purse or the regular applique.
Is that because cotton shrinks and silk doesn't?
Silk is much finer and it's much easier to use.
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
And it probably don't show as much.
Well, you know, and I try not to let my stitches show at all, so, except that it's not enough light over here to do a very good job. And then you just end up going around the flower.
Okay, and that's how you end up making your square then.
Right, and then you end up with pieces like that.
Oh, wow.
You're pinned like those.
And after you, this is just like pinned down?
It's basted. I pin it down first, as in
Okay.
this instance.
Okay.
And then from there, I baste around the edges.
Okay, and then you have to take that out?
I have to take that out, and I usually take out maybe 3 stitches
Uh-huh.
ahead, and then turn it.
And then turn it,
But
okay.
you also have to clip so that you can indent as
Right.
you go.
Huh.
So there's some preparation to
Right.
it. And then
And you just end up throwing this little
I just...
stuff where are you able to pull it out and save it?
Yeah, I can just, I mean, there's no need to save it. You just clip it
Oh, okay.
and pull it out.
Oh, okay.
But the main thing is to select the fabrics that have individual flowers. If they're too many flowers bunched together, it doesn't work very well. But you could take and use individual petals for those flowers and make other flowers out of them.
Oh.
So this was cut from fabric and used whole.
So it's like painting your own picture then, basically.
Right.
So what makes it
This is
fuzzy?
one of these poppies that I've taken apart and made a rose out of it because I wanted that color. And this one cut out
So there's
whole.
nothing under this to
No.
make it puffy?
No, and I use back basting to get my pattern on the back, and then I put the fabric on the front
Oh.
and applique it down. So your pattern is always on the back and reverse.
Okay.
But
Okay.
mainly, you can choose
All right.
any fabric and come up with flowers. I did birds from pansies because the lines were just perfect.
And the colors were great.
Right. Mockingbird was great out of it. But there's, you know, this was a whole flower that I used. I still have some embroidery to do on it.
Wow.
These were cut and used whole. This one I cut up other fabrics, other flowers, and put them together to make that one. So this was a whole flower.
So you're an artist.
That would be great for like making orchids and stuff because
definitely.
orchids come in all different colors and flavors. So
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
And you don't often find orchids in fabric. But you see, this one was what I cut that one out. Where is it?
It's right here.
Can't see. And then the one that's on green was from this piece of fabric. And there's other sizes that you can use. Now this one, I would probably take apart and use part of it. This one I can use whole. So
That
it
is
just
the French word broderie.
broderie purse. Yeah, and they developed it in about 1500. And some people say that it was developed in Persia, which is now Iran. Others say England, and some say France. So it depends on whose article you read.
Right.
So it's P-E.
P-R-S-E.
And not P-U-R-S.
I don't know who wrote that.
Okay.
Up, so somebody just gave me a write-up and I made copies.
There's so many different variations of language, going
Well,
from
that's-
Latin to English to Old English to French to mix them in between, and holy
So who
smokes.
knows? But you can also, if you want to use two flowers together, then you don't mind having it overlapping.
Right.
Right.
This article says it was
Butterflies work beautifully. And tulips also work quite well for small groupings. And sometimes I just take petals and then I will put back another flower just because I want that color.
Like painting.
Yes.
Just like painting, only just with
Painting
needle
with
and
fabric.
thread.
That's why you are definitely an artist.
Well, it's something I really enjoy doing. So,
When you start, do you pin it to the?
well, I pen it first, and then I will baste about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit more on the inside, and then I will turn it under. This one I will trim, but I will turn them under and then stitch them.
So you have kind of a binding, you know?
Well, it's just the way you do needle turn appliques. So if
Right.
you've ever done needle turn, it's the same thing.
So do you take
It's just that you have your whole flower right there.
the basting out as you applique?
I do.
Yeah. So
Or I can take out about 3 stitches ahead and then turn it.
turn it in.
Wow.
In this article, it says that it originated in Britain in the 17th century, but that's
Yeah.
that's what they say.
Another one I had that was in 1500 in France. It's and broderie perse is French.
Yeah.
So
I like
you
her
know,
hair.
oh yeah, again, it depends on who writes the article.
That's right.
Yeah, no, that was the first class I took from a lady from Springfield, 12 Guild, Susie Luth. I don't know if you've heard of her or not, but she's quite well known for her applique. And
Wow.
so we just cut out flowers and took a background that would kind of match the background that was flowers were cut from.
Right.
So it kind of blends, and you didn't have to go into the detail that I do now. You didn't have to indent into all these little places, which takes a lot of time and practice.
Makes the most impact.
It does. It does. And the first applique teacher I had years ago was Suzanne Marshall, and she taught us to do the black outline
Oh.
around it, which just gives it a better
That's
pop.
beautiful.
Do you use black silk for that? Or?
Black silk and 50 weight, not 100 weight on that.
Also, there's different weights of thread.
Yes.
Okay.
And you have to
Of the
select
silk? Of the silk, there's different weights?
the silk. You can get 50 weight or 100 weight.
Or 100, okay.
And I definitely use 100 weight while
Oh.
and that's my preference. There are others. Expensive and not very hard to, I mean, you can't find it around here. You have to order it.
Oh.
Susie has stitches, has some, but her supply is kind of old, so you have to be careful. And she'll order for you if you want a supply, and they run about $7 a spool, so expensive thread,
Wow.
but well worth it. in the long run.
Oh my goodness.
And this one is going to be a quilt when I get through.
Oh my goodness.
And I have eight blocks done, and I think 9 will be all I'll manage.
Wowee.
A small
And
quilt.
some of them I changed. I took Lady Liberty out of this and just did floral.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's one that I'm going to start that has a bride and groom. I think it's this one. And I'm not going to include that, bride and groom. So it'll just have the flowers.
Oh, okay.
And this one is 2 butterflies, not 1.
Oh,
So that one I plan to do.
oh.
Wow.
I just thought that was an interesting. That's about it.
Outlining in black, you want your stitches to show,
Definitely.
right?
And I just use a plain stem stitch. It works very easily and it conforms to any shape that you want it. And I use very small
Interesting.
stitches, so.
Yeah, I see that. Patience, patience.
Do you have some of your quilts here at the show?
I have one on the far side, butterflies, called Olive Flutter, on a Margiela background, and lots and lots of butterflies applique. But you can see, some of the
It
places
gives a nice little lift on it.
it does, and the back basting
little
does that
puffiness.
as well. You don't have to pad it.
Right.
Now, on some of them, I think there's only one here that I padded.
Oh,
And
okay.
I use just a little bit of batting, the Warm and Natural, which is thin.
Okay, to give like a little lift to
Right.
it. Maybe a little
Get a
3D
little
effect.
dimension.
Very nice. Well, thank you for the demonstration, Joyce. It was very enlightening.
Yes,
Well, you're
yes.
welcome. And I really enjoy doing appliques.
I don't know that I would